been a couple of weeks that we have been talking. I learned a lot about primarily, I think, the kettlebell movements, and a couple of them did really help a lot as well. So I thought I would love to just understand it more about you, and also we'll jump into a couple of questions that we wanted to really understand about this industry.
Thank you, man.
Over to you.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. Yeah, it's been a good few weeks, and I'm delighted to hear that you are trying out new things with kettlebells, and that maybe you are also enjoying some new forms of training with kettlebells. Yeah, very excited to be part of this project, and I hope that also with my contribution we can make this app better and accessible for people who choose to use it. And yeah, so about me, I am Levente, and I am a kettlebell instructor and a fitness coach in broad terms. I used to work as a strength and conditioning coach for athletes in the Netherlands before I moved to Romania. And since I moved to Romania, I am more focused on bringing kettlebell training to my country, where I'm originally from. And hopefully that in the close future, I will be able to start the first kettlebell exclusive school in the country to provide a more in-depth and better education about what kettlebells are and how wonderful actually they are as a training tool. And I am passionate. I am passionate about movement in general and the body and training. Sometimes I get very obsessed with finding the best things, but as years go by, I am learning that every person has something that is best for them rather than one best thing that is suitable for everybody. And yeah, this is my journey, and my background is very eclectic. So in my teens, I did a lot of martial arts until I was 14, 15 years old. I also competed nationally. So I have a good foundation of discipline and hard work because of karate and other disciplines of sport that I did in school, for football, handball, and just generally being a child outside playing all day. And yeah, throughout the years, my life has been on both ends of the fitness spectrum. So after I went to secondary school, to high school, I lived in a boarding school where, yeah, sport wasn't that accessible. So being in a boarding school, eating 3 times a day and just sitting at class all day, I was very overweight by the time I started university. And in my early 20s, sport wasn't a priority for me. So I just enjoyed life, and I was traveling and eating, drinking, having fun. And then the first reality check I had was in South America, when I was writing in my diary and the pen fell off the table, and I wasn't able to bend to pick up the pen. So I had to kneel to pick up the pen off the ground. And for me, this was such a humbling experience, where I was like, yo, man, you're in your early 20s and you can't bend for a pen. I mean, you have to do something. So overnight, I radically got into running and yoga. So I was running 2 times a day and doing yoga 2-3 times a day. I had a lot of free time, so I didn't have any commitments. And obviously, I wasn't running marathons or something. I was running 50 meters, 100 meters, whatever I could bear to run. And doing yoga, yeah, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And then that slowly transformed, because being young and the body being adaptable, it changed, and suddenly 5 kilometers run wasn't that big of a deal, and 10 kilometers run was not big of a deal. So I got fairly fit, and this was my first contact with what it means to transform yourself and transform your body. And then I left South America, and I moved back to Europe, and I went on another fender bender. So another cycle of obesity came because of comfortable life and a regular job, and I worked as a cook in a restaurant as a chef. So hectic life, working long days, drinking in the afternoon or at night with the colleagues, not doing sport, being always busy. I became obese again until my next reality check, where I was watching some videos online with some people doing some kettlebell stuff, and I bought myself a few kettlebells, and I realized that I thought I was strong until I tried to do what those people do, and I was like, whoa, there is something wrong here. Because I wasn't as strong as I thought I was. So the next reality check came, and I started to play with these kettlebells and take them seriously. And 2 kettlebells turned into 3, and then 5, and then 10. And suddenly I had a lot of kettlebells. And I spent 3 years seriously reconfiguring myself, and I put aside all things unhealthy, and I went on a very zealous quest to like understand fitness and get fit, and just to see what my body is capable of. So in this process, my colleagues at that time were seeing the change, and they were seeing how every month I was getting thinner, and then I was getting more muscular, and I was working with a lot of people who did football and a lot of different sports, and they were like, hey man, but we're going to the gym for like 3 years and we are not seeing results. What is going on? And I'm like, yeah, I am training, but I am training in a very structured and organized way. I have goals. I have a direction. I know what I want. Like I'm putting in the work. I am resting. I am eating. So life is good. And this suddenly started to inspire people. And as people got inspired by this, people started asking questions, like, hey man, what should I do? What do you think of this? Do you maybe have a different opinion? And this is how I got into the coaching business, practically by inspiring other people, and in return they inspired me to educate myself and better understand how can I guide also other people to achieve greater things. And yeah, in short, this is my journey until today. And yeah.
No, that's super inspiring. Thank you for just giving an entire overview. I think that's very inspiring to hear, and also the kind of impact you could create, not just in your life but also the life of others, is truly something that everyone should aspire to. On that note, I think I was just curious to know, there are different formats of working out, right? And you've done a bunch of them. You did martial arts, you played sports, you got into coaching. What drew you to kettlebells? What was the thing that you really loved about it, or what do you think is the kind of impact kettlebell workouts can do to a human body?
The thing that I absolutely love about kettlebells is the fact that when you look at a heavy kettlebell, so it doesn't have to be very heavy, but like 24 kilos, like it's just sitting there on the ground. It's just a piece of metal, a round piece of metal with a handle, and it's just looking at you, and you think, what is this, like there's not much you can do with this. I mean, it's a piece of metal. You have equipment, you have other tools, you have machines that do so much, you know, like you can push, press, lift, turn, twist. But then the first thing that you have to do is to pick up this kettlebell. You know, like you have to somehow pick it up. And when I started to realize this, I was like, wow, everything that you do with a kettlebell, first you have to pick it up. And secondly, most movement that you do with the kettlebell, you have to grip. So, you know, a lot of studies, they show that grip strength relates very well to how strong you are, you know, and it's a good indicator of health. So there is this thing that you have to pick off the ground, but you have to grip it. So when you press it overhead or you're swinging it, you have to grip it. So no matter what you do with the kettlebell, it's going to train your grip, which will inevitably give you a longer time on this earth. Studies show, and yeah, so you know, and this is what initially drew me to it. Is like when you have this simple thing, but then as you dive into kettlebell training, you realize there is almost nothing you can't do without kettlebell. I mean, with a kettlebell. So you want cardio, you can do cardio. Yeah, you just take a light kettlebell, you swing it 100 times, 200 times, just keep going. Because the movement imitates natural movement of the body, you don't perceive it as training. So it will easily substitute your cardio training. So you don't want to run? No problem. Swing kettlebells. You want to develop strength? You can press it. But you can press it kneeling, you can press it sitting, you can, and due to its construction, most dumbbells, because of the distribution of their center of mass, don't work stabilizing muscles so well, especially machines. They will do the stabilizing for you. But the kettlebell, because the center of its mass, it's coming straight into your core. Everything that you do with the kettlebell, you have to stabilize. So no matter what you do, you're working your stabilizing muscles. So this is already beautiful, you know, because suddenly strength training also turns into functional training. You are getting stronger, but you are getting stronger the way you're supposed to, the way your body wants to get strong. No? So you want to build endurance because this is good for you. You're an endurance athlete, you know, like to build endurance, you have to do a lot of endurance work. I mean, you have to train your nervous system to overcome. Especially for people who are trained already endurance athletes, you are training your endurance by doing hard things because you already have a threshold. And sometimes it's very difficult to train your endurance because in order to train your endurance, first you have to get tired, you know? And in order for you to get tired, if you're going to go for a run, because I understand you are a runner, you know, you have to get tired. You get tired maybe after 20 kilometers. And then you start doing your endurance training, you know, like you run for an hour or two, then you start your training. Kettlebells will do that for you in 10 minutes. I mean, they will get you properly tired because there are moves with kettlebells that you can do that will just trigger your, you know, your nervous system. Everything will fire and you're able to create this fatigued state where you can already build endurance better without having to like do 10 machines and run and climb stairs and, you know, like just the simple way of imitating, again, the kettlebell swing, or you do 20 minutes of snatch. If you do 20 minutes of snatch, not continuously, but 1 minute on, 1 minute off, but in good technique, that will simulate your 20-kilometer run. I promise you that, you know? And then you can do your running work because, you know, like your system's already fired. You're already working anaerobically. So you can then push the threshold of your endurance. And as I do more research, and I also experiment with me and my clients, because I am my best client, you know, as a coach. I am my own experimental rabbit, and I try a lot of things for me. I am just, kettlebells offer tremendous amount of value for what they are. No, like simple, but when you have to pick it up, you understand that it's not so simple.
Well, I think that's really a very interesting way to look at kettlebells, and I must say when I just tried doing the French squats with kettlebells, they were a lot harder than just doing the barbell squats, and it definitely is the tiny equipment but that just tries to tire you out very quickly. Totally understand that, and thanks for this piece of information as well. But often there are a lot of misconceptions about new trends that even still come up, right? Any new format of workout, people have limited information. There are probably few things that they don't understand well. What are some of the common misconceptions that you had people tell you about kettlebell movements or workouts?
Uh, First and foremost, I think one misconception is that kettlebells are used for kettlebell swings and farmer's walk. So you either swing them or you carry them, because it's normal. Like it looks like that. It looks like, man, this is something you want to carry. No, um, total misconception. You know, like kettlebells. Like I said before, there's a lot of things that you can do with kettlebells that go beyond the kettlebell swings. But kettlebell swing is like the move you want to learn properly with kettlebells, because that's where you're gonna have the biggest bang for your buck, right? You can also carry them, and it's very good to carry kettlebells. But there's a lot of other things that you can do with it. Just go online, you will see a myriad of things that you can do with a kettlebell. Secondly, that kettlebells are for advanced athletes. No, like a lot of people maybe now on social media who you see with kettlebells are these very intimidating figures. There are others also, but usually these ones just pop up because a lot of people, they search gym, they search bodybuilding, they see big guys, then those big guys show something with kettlebells that relates to other people. Totally wrong. Kettlebells are adaptable to any level of fitness. So I, for example, use kettlebells with people who just got off the couch, because you can learn very, very good body posture and movement patterns with kettlebells, exactly because the way their center of mass is, they teach you how to stay upright, how to absorb the shock, you know, how to contract right. So kettlebells are suitable for every level of fitness, so you can adapt it to people who are like super trained, no, like you increase the weights, maybe modify technique, and for people who are just beginning, because it's easier to do, for example, a kettlebell deadlift than to teach somebody a deadlift with a barbell, because you just squat down, take the kettlebell, lift it between your legs, and you don't have to worry about where to put your hand, how to keep your back. It's just natural. No, like you squat down, you pick it up like a bag of potatoes, and that's that. No, like you don't have to go to the gym, you don't have to buy clothes. You can do it at home in your underpants. Nobody cares, you know? Right. The other thing is that kettlebells are expensive. And this is so. So light kettlebells are not expensive. The way they get more expensive is when they get heavier, obviously, because they're heavier. So a 48 kilo kettlebell or a 36 kilo kettlebell, it's going to get expensive because, yeah, it's big. But if you buy kettlebells, I guarantee you that your grandchildren will play with your kettlebells. So they don't break. They're practically indestructible. So if you were to calculate and you were to say, hey, man, I want to invest in my fitness, but I am sick and tired of going to the gym, or I want to go to the gym, but I want to have something at home. Just calculate a little bit. You are going to pay maybe $300 a year in your gym on your gym membership, depending which country you are. Let's say $300. I don't know. You're gonna add the cost of petrol, the cost of the bus, maybe the lunch and the breakfast that you have to eat out because the gym is far. It adds up to a certain amount of money every year. If you
These are very interesting. I think a lot of things, even I had a lot of misconceptions about the impact kettlebell could have, particularly in your workouts. I think that's really interesting to know. And I think just jumping on to the next area where would love to hear your thoughts is mostly on you've been using our platforms perfect for about a week or 10 days, and would love to understand how your journey has been, the feedback, or how you liking to use it.
so I've only been using it for a couple of weeks, obviously. So I'm still learning on how to like put in things and learn how it works. And I only use it for my own workouts and for a relative of mine who is also a big fan of training, just to test and see how the messages go and how the notifications come and so on and so forth. And yeah, I like it. I have to say that I like the fact that it's very customizable. You know, like you're able to like really build things the way you want to build them. The AI is a big help if you want to like create workout plans really fast. I guess it depends on users of what they want, you know. And I like the fact that actually the staff behind it is open to suggestions from real users that actually want something for themselves to be in a way that I want it to be. So my input is valuable because I am going to use it, you know. And then it's important for me to see that if I am working with somebody or working with an app of some kind, regardless of what it is, it also takes my input into consideration. Because if I am the one that is paying, my voice should also be heard, right? Because otherwise, why would I use this and not the other, right? And I'm a big fan of the idea that you create something that you just create the template and then other people are able to customize it the way they feel so that it represents them rather than the image of a brand or of an app. Or I think it's more personal and also more relevant to personal training, you know, or for coaching in general. So yeah, what can I say? Other AI fascinates me. I put in one workout with AI and it just gave me a workout that I thought it was made for robots. But this is AI. I mean, AI plans for AI. But other than that, I like it, and I think it's simple. So it's not invasive. So it's like not pushing and like, hey man, do. And yeah, it's a work in progress. And as every beginnings, they're very exciting. And now we are just curiously waiting to see where it goes. But I am glad that we have this connection and that we're able to like work together on this.
Right. No, thank you so much for being patient, and I think a lot of feedback that came from you is incredible, and it's helping us make the platform better, build it in a way all other coaches can also really enjoy being on it. Thanks for that. Now, I think would love to understand a little bit on how do you train your athletes when you try to sort of meet someone. How do you typically come up with the first block of programming? What are the things that you typically consider? Would love to hear on how do you think in creating a program.
Yeah. So what I have learned in all these years that before asking any other question on what is your goal or what do you want or what do you want to train, the biggest factor in most people's life is time. So I categorize people based on how much time are you willing to train before I even do a fitness assessment or anything, you know? So there are a few categories I see. There are the 30-minute people. Now, these are approximations, yeah? So there are the 30-minute people. It's like, I'm going to train 30 minutes, 3-4 times a day, and that's okay for me, is enough, you know? Programming for these people, they don't want to learn. They just want to work out. No, so programming for these people has to be simple, but it's also the highest risk of them just quitting. No, because in 30 minutes, you can do a lot of things done in 30 minutes if you know what you're doing. But if you're just beginning, 30 minutes is not even warm up. You know, like by the time your body's warmed up to actually trigger your metabolism and get the blood flowing, you're done. No? 30-minute people, I recommend learning kettlebells and just like smashing kettlebell protocols. So just like you wake up, you do your sets and reps, and then you put the kettlebell down, and that's your training for today. But you need skill for this. So you have to learn in order to like 30 minutes to be productive. I am a 30-minute guy in the morning. So I usually try to do 2 workouts a day, you know, like I do my kettlebell protocols that help me keep my technique good, that work my strength with kettlebells, because this is what I teach. So I'm a 30-minute guy. I know my sets and reps. My workout is between 18 minutes and 30 minutes. I know exactly, you know, like it's easy day, it's 18 minutes. I know my sets and reps. I get down, I do them, and that's it. And I forget about it. No? Then in the afternoon, I do strength training and whatever. So 30-minute people fall into this category. You have to create a plan that is simple enough for them to execute without thinking too much, but with them being able to actually benefit from it. This is not easy. This is difficult, but you can do it. 1 hour people, so the 60-minute people. 60-minute people is when you can talk about stuff. You know, like we can talk about weightlifting, we can talk about hypertrophy, we can talk about cardio, you know, like these are the people who you can also educate, you know, because making a training program, you also have to educate people on what is fitness, what is the benefit of consistent work, you know, like choosing something that they do off program, running, walking, rowing, cold baths, something that suits them, that will complement their training, and finding the right tools to train. Some people want gym, some people want home, some people want elastic bands, some people just want to run. You have to find and see how you can tailor the training for this particular group based on what they need. So 1 hour people is great. 3 times or 4 times a week, if you train 1 hour, you can get stuff done. No? You have 90-minute people, right? People who like to train hard. No, like these are the kind of people that will do 90 minutes of work. In 90 minutes, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, sky is the limit. I mean, if you're willing to put in 90 minutes every second day to train, no, you have time to educate yourself. You have time to learn skills. You have time to build strength. You have time to stretch. You have time to warm up, to cool down, everything, right? So this is my first filter, you know, like where do you fit in? Secondly, I do a fitness assessment where I look at some standards. So most of the standards I look at are strength standards. Like how much can you squat, how much can you push, how much can you press, you know, like basic stuff, just in order for me to understand where the baseline of that person is. No? Always in good form. So unless the form is good, I don't count it. Because otherwise I don't have ways to monitor growth, right? If you're gonna do 5 incorrect presses and I write it down, then you do 3 good ones when you learn it. It's very difficult for me to say, hey man, 2 weeks ago you did 5, I taught you the good technique and you do 3. So I'm stupid. No, Like, I don't know what I'm doing because we are training for 2 weeks and I made you weaker. You know, it's not, you need good form, right? So after this small fitness assessment, it's usually an hour. We do basic reaction time. So just simple things, standing up the ground, you lay horizontally, you stand up vertically, which will give me a good insight on how your body works and, like where your proprioception is and how you react to stimulus and so on and so forth. Then I build the plan based on time, where you are, how much time you want. Then we talk about goals and desires and ambitions. And I want to be a world champion later. No, food I rarely talk about because it's a very controversial topic with a lot of different preferences and so on and so forth. It's normal. Eat your breakfast, eat enough protein, eat vegetables, drink water. Like, no, on these guidelines, because I learned also from myself. I use the analogy of a car. So when you have a shitty car, you don't really care about what you put in your car. You can buy cheap petrol, you can buy cheap parts because it's a shitty car. No, this is your body. If it's not trained or you are not fit, you don't care. Chips, whatever. When you start buying a better car, so you buy, for example, a Volkswagen, which is maybe a bit better than a shitty car, you start to care a little bit about the parts and the oil, and because it's a better car, it happens naturally. No, when you have a fancy car, no, like you have a Porsche or a Ferrari or I don't know what, you're not going to buy cheap parts for a Ferrari. I mean, obviously, because you drive a Ferrari, you look at the petrol, you look at the oil, you look at, like the value goes up. And this is what I learned also in fitness is when people start to feel that training is more important than food. I'm not saying you don't have to eat. You have to eat and food is more important than fitness. But people who begin training have to focus more on movement than they focus on food. Because food they do anyway. You eat 2-3 times a day, regardless whether you do sports or not. So it's easier to focus on training, and food will sort out itself because you will start slowly to have a Volkswagen and you will make healthier choices. Not overnight, but slowly, because your body will ask you for it. No, because you will do 20 push-ups and tomorrow you won't do 20 push-ups and you will realize why. Oh, because my body is weak today. You're not tired. It's simply your body has a bit more muscle, so it needs more fuel. So you have to eat more protein or rice or whatever, So you start to look at what you put in your car, right? And whatever the plan and whatsoever, I follow a basic principle. I work with 5 fundamental moves. So a lot of hinging, so kettlebell swings and deadlifts, and on these lines. So hinging from the hips, yeah. Squat, push, pull, and loaded carry. So no matter what plan, no matter what kind of athlete you are, these 5 is a must. You have to hinge, you have to squat, you have to push, you have to pull, and you have to carry heavy things. Because this will train you also for your day-to-day life, right? And this is how I approach usually clients, regardless whether they are like super advanced or beginners. We check these things. And then based on what you need for your sport or for your life, I will adapt training to this,
Got it. I think that's a really good way to probably build something for your athletes, and I think most of it is coming from very basic fundamental blocks of coaching, and then you customize it based on what your athletes typically want. And I think onto that, just wanted to sign off with the last piece of advice from you on if, let's say, someone is just getting started into kettlebell based workouts, where do you think, what is a good place to start, or what are the few things that they can keep in mind?
Yeah. So too much too fast in bad form is not good, right? If kettlebell swings hurt your lower back, you're doing them wrong. If your knees hurt when you are squatting, you're squatting wrong. Okay? Before you even think about kettlebells, get professional coaching. So if you don't want somebody to train you consistently because of maybe you can't afford or you don't want to, if you're going to train with kettlebells, find a coach that you vibe with so you're on the same frequency and have a talk with him, even if it's a single session or, just to understand better before YouTube and before all those things. You want to talk to somebody who understands kettlebells because this will be a lifesaver. It was a lifesaver for me. It was a lifesaver for a lot of people that I know that did kettlebells and then went to somebody who is a pro or understands kettlebells, not to use pro, but somebody who's like really understands them. Because in kettlebell training, YouTube will help you so far. You have to get somebody to actually look at you because YouTube isn't looking at you. You're looking at it. No? So this is my piece of advice. Yeah, always get a professional coaching when it comes to kettlebells. A lot of things you can learn in the gym with your gym friends, and you see people always have good technique, maybe with barbells. You see them because they're popular. So they're easier to learn because your eyes will see more. Kettlebells are often misused. So even somebody who looks like he's doing heavy and doing good might not be doing good because his body is different than yours. So you have to understand the anatomy of movement. And this needs to be explained to you in your language in a way that you understand it. Not the way somebody says it and then maybe makes sense, maybe doesn't, When you choose these people, don't judge a book by its cover. People who train with kettlebells are not necessarily the biggest, the strongest, the most badass looking people on the face of this planet. But I guarantee you that people who train with kettlebells are fit and they understand what they are doing. So they have a good mind-muscle connection. And that's more important than size and appearance, okay? Don't buy kettlebells until you know what you're going to use them for. For most people, 3 kettlebells are enough. So 1 kettlebell that you can press 8 times, 1 kettlebell that you can swing, so usually 16, 24 kilograms, and 1 heavy kettlebell that you can do deadlifts and squats with. Most people, this is all the kettlebells you need. When you start training with kettlebells, understand that in order to get good in something, you have to do it a lot. So kettlebell training can be very boring because you're going to take 2-3 movements and you're going to do them for 12, 16 weeks. And you're just going to get really good at it. No, this is a consistent, simple training protocols. 12 weeks, you're just doing kettlebell swings and kettlebell cleans. When you get really good at it, you buy a heavier kettlebell and you start everything from the beginning. You do 12 weeks with the heavier kettlebell. It's boring for a lot of people, but consistency delivers. No? And the last thing that I think is very, very important for people is to understand intra-abdominal tension. So how to actually create abdominal tension, how to breathe while keeping this tension in your core, right? So bracing, and how to generate power while being tense yet relaxed. So if you understand this, then kettlebells will be very easy for you.
Wow, that's a lot of information, and I think I will definitely going to add kettlebell workouts in my routine. I think I've already started with front squats, and I'll probably stick to a lot more. But this was really insightful, Levi. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and also spending a lot of time in talking about this. I'm sure a lot of people who are going to get into kettlebell swing will definitely benefit from this. So yeah, really appreciate you for your time and sharing all of this knowledge with us.
It's my pleasure, man. I thank you for this opportunity and thank you for inviting me.